Yeah.
Hey guys, how are you doing? Today, since I didn't do one for Spider-Man No Way Home and I said I would, even though this is going to be about almost 2 months late, I'm doing my spoiler review for the Batman. It's on HBO Max now, so that shows you how long it took me to get around to it, but I try to be a man of my word, so here I am. I'm going to do this video. Just first off, I saw it again and I liked it less. Still a great movie, one of the best Batman movies. And obviously, there aren't too many great ones. But really, I think that it would have probably dropped to an 8.5 for me. I was also hopped up on carbs, keep in mind. So I do want to watch it again now that it is on HBO Max. But yeah, let's get right into it. What I loved, what I wasn't too fond of, everything in between. First off, the intro to this movie is amazing. That POV of the Riddler, which I can only assume is the Riddler, looking into the home of this politician, running for mayor. There's just Ave Maria juxtaposed in the background so beautifully and so hauntingly so. And just once he actually gets inside, him just in the shadows, waiting for his moment to pounce, it is absolutely such a brilliant way to introduce you to this world, really dark and gritty one that Matt Reeves is presenting. And just obviously the opening with Gotham and really showing how the bat signal is a sign of fear for these criminals. And of course, when he beats up that gang on the subway, just him walking out of the darkness into the, I guess, limited light that there was there. But really such a great moment, such a badass moment when Batman is just pounding in that dude's face. And that line, "I am vengeance," is just iconic at this point, really. And what a great way to introduce us to Robert Pattinson's Batman. And also, I really love when he goes to the crime scene and the cops there are kind of like, whoa, what are you doing here? Because obviously, in other movies he's been a part of, the Gotham PD and really working one-on-one with them. But in a realistic situation, they wouldn't want a vigilante amongst their midst. But obviously Gordon is letting him in, yet again played by Jeffrey Wright, who I just think the dynamic between the two of them is just so great, especially when they find the guy's finger and he says the joke "thumb drive." I just think that was absolutely hysterical, and the fact that Batman was the levity at some points in this movie is really funny, considering how self-serious it is. And just obviously him going in and seeing the kid in the room, looking at him saying, "Oh, that was me when my father was murdered," without even having to say. And then, of course, Something in the Way starts playing, which is always such a great treat to hear Nirvana tune that great in a movie like this. And also the scene on TV where Riddler kills Commissioner Pete Savage and traps him up to this trap with rats in it. It's just, oh my goodness, it is just something you'd see in Seven, really. I mean, it's very disturbing and really makes me question, why are they showing this on live TV? In the movie, it really doesn't make that a lot of sense, but it's a powerful image and really makes the Riddler a formidable force in this film. And also, I just absolutely love the dynamic and the introduction of Selina Kyle in this movie, played by Zoe Kravitz, working at the, not Five and Below, what am I talking about? The Iceberg Lounge, where you have one of the best action sequences, where the trap beats are going, the club is getting wild, and Batman is beating the shit out of these guys. It is just so incredible, the way it's lit, the way it's shot. And then, of course, you have Colin Farrell's Penguin come in and say, "Take it easy, sweetheart," and just really completely unrecognizable once again. But the dynamic he has with Batman and Bruce Wayne throughout the entire thing, because I love how he's obviously he's Batman's enemy, and he's just he's always talking crap to him, but then he sees him and he's like, "Hey, Bruce, hey, pretty boy," he's so buddy with him. It's really just a great bit of dramatic irony there. But yeah, that's when we get introduced to Selina Kyle working there at the lounge, and kind of her going home and Batman following her. You get this voyeuristic shot of him looking at her changing through her window, which makes Batman kind of a creep and a perv. But it is a great, yet again, use of cinematic technique and learning her reasoning as to why she's there, because she's really not a cat burglar in this. She's doing something more out of generosity than self-interest, because her friend Annika was found with the original, the mayor, and that's how he goes to the Iceberg Lounge and all that. And I love that riddle. It's like, what does a liar do after he's dead? He lies still. So, obviously, it really, what this film has to say about politicians, covering up their corruption and all these things that they don't want, leaked to the public, which obviously ties into the legacy of Thomas Wayne, which we will get into shortly. But really, just that whole plot really drives the narrative forward. And then obviously she starts working for him, goes to the Iceberg Lounge, and she finds Gil Colson, who's played like such a buffoon by Peter Skarsgård. Just absolutely hysterical how stupid and inept he is. But obviously just the whole setup where he goes to the funeral, the way Bruce Wayne that is meeting Carmine Falcone again, just played brilliantly by John Turturro, and the tension that's immediately there. And yet again, I love that shot of him looking at the sun. But anyway, I already talked about that. Once he drives the car in and you see Coulson strapped to a bomb with a phone, it's for the Batman. He's supposed to solve a riddle. And yeah, he's got the bomb attached to, I think, his head. Such a tension-ridden scene when he goes back to the scene of the crime. But the one thing that is so unbelievable is the bomb blows up, and Batman's literally right in front of him. Batman should be dead, okay? That makes no sense. Look, even if you guys absolutely love this movie, it's not a perfect movie, and it never will be. So let me just dissuade that notion right there. Sorry, guys. But really, it's moments like that that bring the movie down for me, because it is such a well-written narrative overall and really engaging. But you get moments like that where it's like, okay, well, they're just throwing this in to throw it in. He could have at least ran away like 15 feet or something, like it didn't have to be like that. But yeah, that leads him to his next clue. He's trying to learn about the rat. Who is it in the Gotham PD? Who is the rat? But really, just yet again, him going around with Gordon is really one of the best parts when he examines the trap that was used on Savage, and really yet again finds another clue. Just the mystery keeps unraveling and unraveling as it goes along, and that's what I love about it. It takes its time. And really doesn't necessarily want to, pursue these fast-paced action set pieces, which it does have, but it really is much more methodical than that. And I think scenes of these analysis and really him doing this detective work is what makes it stand out from all the other Batman live-action films that we've seen thus far. So Batman and Gordon think that perhaps Penguin is El Ratalata, or the rat, and then they find out that Maroni's, the big drug bust that everyone is going on about in the city all those years ago, is really been transferred over to Carmine Falcone, and Penguin's in on it. And obviously Selina shows up and she finds Annika dead in the trunk, which makes her even more enraged. But this is where you get one of the best action sequences with Batman in the Batmobile chasing Penguin. But my biggest problem with it is they're literally blowing up every car or truck on the road, and Batman is chasing him down like a hound. Okay? So why is it that when they capture Penguin, they arrest him, they try to get information out of him, nothing happens to either one of them? They just let Penguin go kind of waddle away. That was pretty funny when he was in cuffs and all that. But why is Batman not held accountable? Especially considering the fact that the police don't trust Batman completely. It really is a huge plot hole that really brings this movie down, because it makes absolutely no sense. As great as the scene is when he revs up the ramp and comes behind, finds Penguin, and you see the car flip upside down, and shot of him walking towards it. I mean, it's brilliantly executed and composed, but that huge plot point makes absolutely no sense especially for a movie that is just so intelligent overall. Just moments like that make it feel pretty inconsistent at times, which is probably my biggest issue with the film. But I love the El Rata Lata joke. It's like, don't any of you know Spanish? You know, it's La Rata, you know? And then them clicking on the URL, which I think is kind of stupid. But, you know, it's fine. Like, it moves the plot forward, and you start to suspect that maybe the Riddler's going after Bruce Wayne. And, of course, once you get to that old orphanage where you just got a lot of base heads in there, really just decadent and really run down, really just adds to how greasy and slimy Gotham is in this movie. But you see that projection with Thomas Wayne, and that's when he knows, you know, he's coming after me. And I just love how the whole legacy of that unravels. And obviously I just have to say, you know, he sends them the bomb, and then it happens, Alfred happens to open it, but he throws it away. He survives. He goes to the hospital. And I think, you know, especially at this moment when you're unraveling the history of Thomas Wayne, how he was a politician who was threatened with his wife's mental illness being kind of revealed to the public, and kind of how he went to Falcone, and obviously Bruce goes to Falcone to find out information, and basically he says that he asked him for help. He killed someone for him, even though Thomas Wayne didn't want that. And then eventually it came back on him, and Thomas Wayne died. And I forgot who he said was the one he believed killed him. But obviously, once he goes back to see Alfred, probably the most moving scene in the whole movie. Andy Serkis is amazing in it. So is Robert Pattinson, where he's talking about, because I love how this is similar to Joker, where it's like, oh, Thomas Wayne was, you know, also a terrible person, and you know, we love the mythos of Batman. So breaking down a figure like that and kind of putting him in such a you know, I guess realistic light. That a lot of these politicians are scumbags. It really is compelling, but the thing that's even more interesting about this is Alfred's like, no. He was a good man who made a bad mistake. Him covering this up wasn't about his political career. It was about your mother and you. And I think that's so brilliant. And then he reveals that it was Falcone, and he's just trying to cover it up. But really, one of the most moving scenes, especially when Bruce is saying to him, it's like, you know, I never thought I would feel like, you know, I did when I lost them, and, you know, like losing a loved one. I never felt that till today, something along those lines. But really solidifies the very parental relationship between Alfred and Bruce in this movie. I think works so well. Maybe not quite as well as Michael Caine and Christian Bale in the Dark Knight trilogy, but I think it's a very solid start for this trilogy. Well, presumably trilogy that they're going to make with these actors. And I know that this was a bit earlier on in the movie, but when Batman's in the police station, kind of in the interrogation room, with all the cops surrounding him, like it's like a complete sausage fest in there. And basically when he starts assaulting them, and he's like, all right, you know, Jim Gordon's like, get everyone out of the room, I can get him to talk, or I can cooperate with him, get him to cooperate. And he just telling him the information, and then Batman covers up by punching him in the face. And just that escape from the police station, where he's using the grappling hook and everybody's shooting at him. It is just so such a great scene. And then obviously he dives off and he glides off the building, where he also crashes into the ground. And this is yet again another instance where maybe he wouldn't have died, but he should be at least in critical condition at this point. It really doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, fast forward back to further along in the narrative, they find out that Carmine is actually El Ratalata, if you will. And then we find out that, yeah, he killed Annika and all this stuff. And we also have that great reveal, which was kind of set up earlier, that Falcone is Selina Kyle's father, which I do think is a great twist. I mean, obviously not like a mind-blowing one, but I think it certainly is an interesting interpretation in the story, and what it does for the narrative and what it does for Selina Kyle in particular really makes it a ripe point of conflict in the movie, I think. And obviously going into the Iceberg Lounge, Batman cutting out the lights, Selina trying to, you know, pose as, you know, kind of this helpless girl who doesn't know where her friend is, when all intentions she's there to kill Carmine. And just a brilliant action scene. Yet again, I was mentioning in my review when all the lights go out and Batman just comes out and he just starts beating the hell out of all these guys, and the only lighting is from the bullets flying out of their machine guns. I mean, it's just absolutely brilliant scene. Yet again, such great work from Academy Award winner Greg Fraser. Just astounding. I hope he gets another nomination for this film, absolutely. But obviously, there's a shootout that occurs, and obviously Carmine and all of them get out, and so does Selina and Batman, and he stops her from killing her own father. He gets arrested, and so does Oswald Cobblepot, you know, the Penguin, and all of them. And then they bring the Rat into the light, into the streetlight, and he gets shot through the head. So that's what the Riddler meant by that. But obviously, you know, at that point, they find the Riddler, and he's in the coffee shop, which is such a haunting scene. When he, just his facial expression when he's getting arrested is just so creepy. Him staring at the Batman, oh my goodness. And then going into his apartment and seeing everything that's in there. I mean, really, I think this is such a great take on the Riddler, and, you know, comparing this to modern society, because, you know, he's an incel, and I think that we've seen this so many times with school shootings and all that. These type of people who have this really unhinged mental illness, the world has abandoned them, all this sort of thing. I think it is a really interesting and ripe idea for a story like this. And obviously you get in there and there's still the clues. You know, obviously the Riddler's onto the fact that Batman is Bruce Wayne, and you get that great confrontation in Arkham Asylum, which is one of the best scenes in the movie, and Paul Dano is absolutely amazing in the scene, and really trying to draw the line of how similar they are. Similar to the interrogation scene in The Dark Knight, obviously not quite as that good, but really both of them bring their A game to this. And then obviously him going back and unraveling the final clue to the Riddler's puzzle there, and obviously him blowing up all the irrigation ditch or whatever it is, but the city starts flooding, and the incels rise up and really are going to Gotham Square Garden to take out the new mayor, who is and I love that her name is Renew or whatever, or something along those lines, where it's kind of like akin to you know, Thomas Wayne's Renew project, but also, you know, kind of like the symbol of hope and progress in the city, politically speaking. And you know, obviously they get there and it's the place of refuge, and really that this is the moment where Batman really becomes Batman, because obviously, you know, he's acting out in vengeance this whole movie, and then once he sees that one of the Riddler's goons say, you know, the same line back to him, "I am vengeance," he realizes that perhaps that's not the way to go about this whole situation. And yet again, he jumps on an electrical wire and then falls in water and doesn't die. Absolutely makes no sense. Yet again, another stupid moment in this movie. But it is followed up by one of the most brilliant shots in any Batman movie, when he is leading the people of Gotham and the mayor out of Gotham Square Garden, where he's holding that torch, well, not torch, but more like a flare, and he's just leading them through the water, like he's Moses parting the Red Seas and leading the Jews out of Egypt. I mean, it is just not only like the metaphorical connection between that, but is one of those shots you can just hang on your wall. One of the most outstanding moments in any Batman movie, and probably my favorite moment in this entire film. And then we get the inevitable ending of this film, which some say go on for too long, and obviously we get the introduction of a character. You see the shirt I'm wearing. We get introduced only briefly and only in glimpses of Barry Keoghan as the Joker, talking to Riddler in Arkham Asylum, you know, kind of thinking that there's going to be a team up in the next movie, but really everybody eats the Joker up, and I can't wait to see what Barry Keoghan does. And also there's that scene that has been released already. A scene in which Batman is going to see the Joker to kind of get a psychological profile on the Riddler, which is obviously akin to Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs. And it's really, really great. Barry Keoghan, it looks like he's going for the more traditional Joker that we know from the comics, the one that was scarred physically, probably falling in a vat of acid, all that sort of stuff, but really reminiscent of Heath Ledger's Joker. I can't wait to see what he does. Maybe he'll even get an Oscar nomination. Obviously, playing the Joker's Oscar bait at this point, but I think the scene could have been in the movie, and it would have been absolutely great. And really think about it. You have the Riddler, the Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, and Falcone all in the same movie, and it doesn't feel like they're trying to cram so many characters in. Yet another reason to absolutely love this film, and a reason I should probably raise my rating. The more I talk about this, the more I'm like, wow, I absolutely love this film. But really, yet again, it has its moments. Obviously, whether you like it, there's the drawn-out ending between him and Catwoman riding the bikes and kind of talking about, you know, how his path lies with Gotham. Like, he needs to be more to Gotham now. He's linked to the city. He feels like an obligation now, as opposed to really this misplaced sense of moral duty. I think is a brilliant, brilliant arc for Batman in this movie, and I think is going to set us off right on the perfect page for Chapter 2, because you know this is getting a sequel. It made gangbusters at the box office, and obviously Selina Kyle going off. Maybe they'll rekindle their relationship, which I think feels a little forced, and especially how creepy Batman's kind of being at the beginning, you know, spying on her, you know, being all voyeuristic-like, but we'll see what happens. And obviously just that shot of Batman, right, that close-up of him on the bike is just so great. Classic, iconic Batman stuff. And yeah, I mean, that's where the movie concludes. Obviously, I also, yet again, I want to mention the political angle of this movie, where we're talking about the cops being the ones who are all the liars and the cheats, and the ones who are really running down society, as well as the politicians. Very timely subject matter, if you ask me. But, you know, it's not like saying ACAB or anything, because obviously Jim Corden is a great cop, and there's a few great cops in there. So, you know, it kind of, I guess, panders to both sides a little bit, which I think is cool, because overall I think the message really works, and I think it's very ambitious for a film of such a big budget. It really feels very, very intelligent, besides some points here and there. And that's why when you get lines like, oh, you know, they only care about the old white rich people, it's like, really, did you have to say that? I mean, we kind of get the point just by showing who is in charge of this town, that's what they're going after. You didn't have to be so unsubtle about it. Literally moments like that really bring this down, and of course that scene with Penguin and Batman, everybody blowing up, it makes no sense. There should be massive repercussions for that. Hopefully they take that into account when making the next movie, and try to make a more tight narrative, just like how The Dark Knight is virtually tight in every single way. So really, what a great Batman movie. What a great way to reboot this franchise. And yeah, really introduces us to a very down-to-earth, gritty Batman once again that I can't wait to see more of. And yeah, so that's the spoiler review. Let me know what you thought of the movie. Obviously, you can spoil whatever you want. If I didn't mention anything, you know, just put it in the comments below. Say your piece. And thanks for watching this video. I know it took so long to get out to y'all. But I'm really happy that you decided to watch this. And stay tuned, guys, because we got so many videos coming down the pipeline, especially movie reviews, including Turning Red and the hotly, widely acclaimed and anticipated film, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Can't wait to talk about that movie with you guys. So yeah, subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and yeah, we'll see you in the next movie review.